What's up and welcome back to the channel. You are listening to Ninja Night. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell up above for future uploads. Check out the links posted in the description down below to support the channel and consider joining the channel today. Thank you. So today we have our first images from He-Man Masters of the Universe Revelation from Netflix that has been done by prominent soy boy Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is a guy that has gotten a lot of adulation over the last couple of years for being a prominent soy boy that will cry at literally anything at the drop of a hat, that will shield for anything that is to do with Disney, and has been prominently in behind what was, in my opinion, a very dark way of going about things, with the way he targeted the Snyder Cut and targeted the Snyderverse and what was supposed to be his personal friend Ben Affleck in what seemed to be hit piece after hit piece from a guy that is allegedly a big Batman fan. He has now been put in charge of He-Man, which is the last person that I wanted to see in charge of He-Man. And I think when you're looking at this video and some of the images that are coming out, I think it's no surprise to see that some of the cautionary thoughts that I had about this series seem to have been confirmed by these images that are coming out. I think that they've withheld a trailer for this for so long because they probably know that this is going to get the backs up of an awful lot of fans, and this is going to annoy an awful lot of fans. Then we look at through some of these images. One of the images that they decided to omit is this kind of god Skeletor that they have that has the power sword that's after being released as a figure in Wave 1 of the line. That to me spells trouble, and it's something that Clownfish TV have talked about in their videos and some of their tweets that Kevin Smith himself actually commented on and said that their synopsis of what they had was wrong. That they said that the story was going to shift and focus on Teela. Well, a synopsis came out not too long ago that actually confirmed that move. So get used to now your Masters of the Universe being run by Teela instead of He-Man. So as we can see, what I can say about this is the art for He-Man and Prince Adam looks really, really good. I think that this looks wonderful. It leans more so into the 2000X series by Mike Young, which I really like, and I think the designs for that look really good. He-Man is big, he's bulky, and as he should be, I think that that is a very good look for him. When we're moving on to Skeletor, Skeletor looks pretty good, but some of the cast choicing for this series is very, very similar to what I thought about when this was announced, which is a lot of problematic people within this cast list. You have a lot of nepotism that's going on, particularly from Smith, with the likes of casting his young daughter within this series. You have him casting prominent SJWs that have been doing nothing but reeing on Twitter for the last 4 years, particularly Mark Hamill, that is going to voice Skeletor, which is a huge problem, and he has really turned me off anything to do with Luke Skywalker, insofar as I do not care about Luke Skywalker anymore. I did not care about him returning to the Mandalorian, and I certainly don't care about his version of Skeletor. I think other than the Joker, I think Mark Hamill's a very average voice actor, and I think you're seeing that within this series with some of the people that they've decided to hire, namely Kevin Michael Richardson as Beastman, a man that continually gets work and sounds the exact same in every single role that he plays. He's like Steve Bloom, another guy that has very low amount of talent that they keep hiring within these series. He-Man looks great here though. I can't not say that. He looks wonderful. Look at how big he looks. Look how muscular he looks. I'm very much so a fan of the art style here. Skeletor looks really good. I have to say, he looks evil. He looks like he's going to be a formidable foe for He-Man. He looks a little bit smaller than He-Man from these images, but he looks like that he's someone that could step up and could fight He-Man. Here we see what seems to be Skeletor using some of his powers here with this purple electricity that's around him, and I think that that is a really good look. I think Skeletor looks really, really decent here. He looks evil, which is the point of Skeletor. He is supposed to be an evil character, and that is the point of this character, that he's supposed to be a bad guy, and I think they hit the design on the head here for this one. I would have liked perhaps maybe glowing eyes within here. That maybe would have given it a little bit more of flair, but they decided not to go. Maybe sharper teeth, sharper canines might have been a little bit more down my avenue, but they decided not to go with that with this art. And as we can see here, the last image that I have is Beastman, that is going to be played by Kevin Michael Richardson, and like I said, a very average voice actor, a guy that sounds exactly the same in everything that he plays. There'd be no doubt that he's going to say exact same in this. If you don't believe me, listen to him as Transformers Prime Bulkhead, listen to him as like the likes of the Joker in The Batman, listen to him in Invincible. He is playing Titan within Invincible. Sounds exactly the same everywhere he goes. Some of the other images that came out then were of Prince Adam and He-Man along with Battlecat, and that's an image I'm going to pull up just now, and I'm going to discuss that because that's going to factor into what I'm going to talk about now in a moment. And the way they've decided to depict Prince Adam in this should let people know what this series is all about and what it's going to be all about. This is a series now that they're going to look to feminize Prince Adam, as we can see here, and even though He-Man looks the part, they've decided to go with Prince Adam that looks very, as some would call it, svelte. This is what they're looking to do with heroes now. Prince Adam in the original series was quite buff. He was quite big. And it's something that they keep talking about, by the way, with this series. Oh, it's going to be a continuation of what the original was. Prince Adam wasn't this skinny. So this is going to highlight exactly what they're going to do with this character. And wait until we see Teela. Teela is extremely buff in comparison to He-Man here, Prince Adam. Also, what would be very curious is the certain colours that they've used here, the likes of the blue and the pinks. This is something that has been highlighted from a number of commentators, including myself, which is bisexual lighting, which is what they try to do. SJWs, this is their mark, their calling card. You'll see it on the Godzilla Kong poster, by the way, where they'll have a blue and pink together. That is them calling card. That is their calling card to let people know, hey, you can come on in here. This is letting you know that this is for you guys. This isn't for the average normie. This isn't for the guys that have built this property. As you can see here, He-Man looks really good with Battlecat. I'd say within these images, we're probably going to see as much of He-Man as we are within these images. I don't think we're going to get an awful lot of them. I think the image that's going to be popped up next is exactly what we're going to get. I think Kevin Smith has talked about this being a 5-episode release on the 23rd of June or July. I think it's July. And this is what we're going to get. We're going to get 5 episodes that is going to gently phase He-Man out. It's going to gently phase Skeletor out and or replace him then with Teela. Now you think back to what I've just shown there with Prince Adam, and you look at the females here, for example, and look how buff they are. Now, that's not a problem whatsoever if you're going to go down a Zack Snyder route of these being sort of Amazonian characters. Teela never looked like this. Teela is one of these warrior princesses. She's supposed to look attractive. Look at the hairstyle. This is a similar hairstyle that is a very much so an SJW calling card. This swept to the side and shaved side of the head is something they continually do. They've done it as recently as Star Wars Clone Wars episode 7, I think it was, within that series in season 7 where they had someone with shaved sides of the head. This is the calling card that they use. You would see it sprinkled around different things. Look at, for example, Spider-Gwen. That's another character that uses a similar haircut and has this similar attitude. Looking to the left of her here, and this is just going to factor into what I'm talking about. Teela is a very, very light-skinned white girl with very red hair. This is something they look to continually do over the last couple of years, which is erase characters with red hair. Just today, there has been a rumour that has dropped that Disney's Hercules, they're going to race swap Hercules. Why is that? Well, that's a red-haired character. They've also done the same thing to Wally West and a numerous amount of other characters. Iris West being another one. Ariel from The Little Mermaid, they have race swapped her also, a red-haired character naturally. This is something that has become a trend. It's something that we have understanding of and we know exactly what they're doing. This is another character that I'm going to pay prominent attention to and explain to people this is why that this is a problem. This is Andra, and Andra is a character that has been in the past a white woman with red hair. Are you seeing what I'm saying? They've decided to tan and butch up Teela here with a less muted red hair, and they've decided to completely race swap Andra. This is something that is an SJW calling card. Now, I'm all for if you included a brand new character, and to me it seems pretty ridiculous that you would race swap and totally change up a character of what they look like when you have a universe, an infinite universe of characters that you could have created and you could have given spotlight to, but instead you decide to tokenize another character. That is prominent nonsense from SJWs, and Kevin Smith is an SJW, make no mistake about that. This is a guy that ragged on Henry Cavill and ragged on Ben Affleck as Batman and Superman respectively, and this is a guy then that turned around and said, oh yeah, well I like the Snyder Cut because he jumped on the bandwagon. He's a bandwagoner, that guy, and we've known that for a very long time, particularly with the way he jumps on the bandwagon for the MCU and shields for that, and for the CW, a place with declining ratings, and decided, yeah, come on in here and do some work. Has gotten a gig now on He-Man and is deciding to make butch looking women and a very feminine looking Prince Adam, and doesn't think that people are going to know what's up. This is what's up. Now, we've talked about the Masterverse line, and I think the Masterverse line looks quite good. It isn't exactly one-to-one with what we've seen here now with these images, which I think is probably their way of saying, well, they'd reuse an awful lot of parts and give us some more classic looks rather than kind of pigeonholing themselves into this line, which is a very good idea from Mattel, because if you decided to pigeonhole yourself into this line, you're not going to get an awful lot of support. There are a lot of fans that are out there already that understand what's happening here and are very angry about this already. You're seeing He-Man standing behind the Sorceress. This is another thing I think that we're going to see within this series. We're going to see He-Man that's going to take a real backseat within this series, and he's probably going to be told he's toxic and that he needs to hand over the power sword. There's going to be all sorts of nonsense going on. As you can see there down below, we have Eva Lynn that's teamed up with Teela, Andra, Roboto and Orko. That's Orko, by the way, on the left hand side. This series is going to be a disaster. The art looks wonderful, which is the hard part to take about this, because you're saying to yourself, the art looks so good, but the story is going to be absolutely and utterly terrible. This is going to be a story that I think is going to let an awful lot of fans down. This is something that I've seen, particularly with Netflix, that they've decided to do that with Transformers, decided to basically have Elita 1 commanding the Autobots, questioning Optimus Prime. And that is something that became an even bigger problem within Earthrise, and I've no doubt that it's going to be in Kingdom in some shape or form, because that's been involved with Rooster Teeth. We're seeing this consistently. I've told people this consistently. Any line that you have that's a masculine line that has men in charge, they're going to look to replace them with characters that people don't really like and people don't really tune in for. They're trying to manufacture an audience that isn't there. The audience for these characters is not there. You have been continually told again and again. This is what's led to the shutdown of the mainstream comic book industry. DC Comics is effectively gone. Marvel Comics will be effectively gone, in my opinion, in the next 5 to 10 years. Maybe sooner. And this is what they consistently do. They fail again and again with these characters and these designs and think it's going to work in some other brand. It is not working, and it is not going to work. And we have worked out, you people. We have worked out exactly what you are doing here. You are not representing people that are white with red hair anymore in these media. It's just not happening anymore. And then you want to talk about diversity. Then you're talking about, for example, tokenizing a character instead of making a brand new character. This is something that I'm behind 100%. If you want to have a black female in this character list and this character lineup, create a brand new one. Give her special powers. Tell us then that she's going to go through a story arc, and she's going to go through a very solid story arc, and that we're going to maybe embrace this character as something that could be quite important going forward. But no, what you've decided to do is you've decided to make a cop-out. You decided to give her the name of another character so that people would say, oh well, I have some sort of attachment to that previous character. I know that character and I'm just going to get over it. Oh, it's just a B-list or a C-list character. That's not how these things should operate anymore. And fans that are out there that are of different races should really understand this, that this is what these people are trying to do. They're trying to give you scraps off the table and hope that the older fans won't notice and won't really care. Fans notice and fans care. I think it's really obvious to see what's going on with this series. I think it's been called out. You're seeing that they've cast Sarah Michelle Gellar as Teela. She is Mrs. Freddie Prinze Jr., as I like to call him, Mr. Gellar. This is a guy that's gone absolutely wacko on Twitter over the last couple of days, particularly with what's going on in Star Wars. He's voicing Kanan Jarrus, aka Caleb Dillon, and this is a guy that can't keep himself off Twitter and can't cause enough of a ruckus. And his wife now is in this series. I think everybody knows what's happening. There's no star name, star power behind the guy that's voicing He-Man. There's star power behind Eva Lynn with Lena Headey from Game of Thrones fame. There's star power in behind Teela. I think we know what's going to happen with this. And Mark Hamill perhaps might get a reoccurring role, or it might be just more or less a cameo within this series. This isn't good. And I think that this is a series that's going to let an awful lot of people down. I'm actually going to make a prediction that I think that the kids series that they have coming out, and I think it's on Netflix as well, or perhaps it's somewhere else, is probably going to be a more faithful and more revered adaptation of He-Man than this will. And that's a bold claim. And that's a pity, because the art here looks really good. It looks interesting. But when you have someone in line like the likes of Kevin Smith running a series like this that is supposed to be testosterone fueled, and you have the most soy-filled man of all time running this line, you're only going to get disaster. Companies need to wake up, they need to smell what's going on, and they need to make sure that these people aren't in charge of these masculine brands. Get masculine people in charge of these brands, and you will see a profit. You will see fans that are happy and respect the source material and not only respect the source material, but if you want to add new and different looking characters, go ahead, change them up, get a new character in, and get a very different skill set in, and people will love them. You're guaranteed that. Anyway, I'm going to leave the video there. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell up above for future uploads. Check out the links posted in the description down below to support the channel. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think. Are you as cautiously optimistic about this as I am, or are you very much so agreement with me in saying that Kevin Smith is probably the worst person that he could have had helm this project? Do you also see the same things that I'm saying, which is a number of characters that are red-haired and white-skinned that are being totally reduced and replaced, and as we can see here, completely altered? And can you also see what they're trying to do with Prince Adam, which is emasculate him and then buff up the women here, which we can all see why they're doing that? Let me know in the comments. Talk to you later. Good luck.